New York after all of that. I want to go to Chris Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, what he makes of the backdrop for the president's second press conference. Obviously, these protests and the whole Israel thing and the tenderhooks to war, Governor, are going to be part of the questioning he'll get, as will the state of the economy. He's going to be showing that inflation's a real problem. But we got some numbers today and a soaring market response today. The sign the consumer is doing a lot better than thought. Strongest retail sales in a year and a half. Amazon bullish, Target bullish, Walmart saying its customers are robustly into buying stuff. What do you think of all of that?
Well, a couple things. First, I mean, let's note that the former President Trump actually has a backdrop to a press conference because he holds press conferences. And Kamala Harris has gotten away with not having to answer to the press in any way. So right there you have a clear juxtaposition. When it comes to inflation, when it comes to the cost of living, folks are not going to make their decisions simply based on what's happened in the past couple months. They're going to look at what's happened over the past 4 years. And that's where you're looking at 25, 30, 35% inflationary and cost increases on a lot of things. Now, if you look at their spending, but look at the debt. All of those individuals are getting their credit card bills in September and October as well, and America is still dealing with record credit card debt. And so these are the stresses, these are the strains that people are going to be feeling, the anxieties. Sure, people are buying, their kids are going back to school, they're coming off vacation, they're getting back into their daily lives. So that buying is just naturally going to happen. But in September and October, the cost of living is going to be a very real issue in this campaign, a very real issue for Americans, as long as the former president can keep his focus there and stay professional on the campaign and talk about the things that Americans want to talk about. As soon as he goes off tangent, that's where he's letting the Democrats take the election that should be his by a landslide. It really should.
So let me ask you this. You referred to something there going up at a 35% clip or something like that. What's that? I mean, you're right.
Since 2020.
Prices are going to... Go ahead.
No. Look, since people will look at the cost of living over the life of the administration. So that's 10% inflation in 2020 or 2021, another 12%, another 7%, another 4%. It's cumulative. It keeps adding up. Try to get a contractor to come over and a plumber.
It doesn't. I know it looks that way, but it doesn't. It's the rate of increase is going. I don't mean to. You're right. The inflation is weird, but the rate of increase is slowing down. In other words, you don't take these increases and just
people
add
don't
them
care
up.
about the rate of increase. They look at what they paid yesterday and what they're paying today.
You're right to say inflation is an issue, and the former president's going to outline certain items that have gone up markedly during that time. But are you worried just economically that given the market comeback from the fall of, and you and I have discussed this before, do not judge a market after a couple of days or even a few days, but that the sense you're getting from the retailers and the big names is that the consumer is far from tapped out. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, look, the economy is still going to stay a bit overinflated because there's still so much government money out there. That's why Biden tried to tell everyone that Bidenomics was working, because on a macroeconomic scale, it's still being pumped up by a lot of federal money that has yet to be spent. Remember, the ARPA dollars, all that federal money was designed to be spent through 2025, 2026. I mean, they very strategically did that. But at the end of the day, it's what the individuals are feeling. And look, these retail numbers are good. Yeah, that's great. They got a one really good month. That's terrific. But there's still record credit card debt. People can't find homes. The immigration issue is very real. The migrant crisis in these cities is very real.
Fair enough,
and as
Governor.
long as we get back to those issues.
I want to allow you to focus on this because the former president is going to come out soon. But you mentioned something interesting about what he's got to do to stick to those issues. This one is a good one: inflation, the economy, the border, all this other stuff that you've urged him to focus on. Are you pleased that lately he has been doing just that, or trying to?
He's getting back to it. And I've always said the best poll number you're going to see is the first real one is just after Labor Day, after the Americans kind of digest all this, after the Democrat convention. But at the end of the day, if he can focus on those issues for the last 60 days, he should win this. I mean, any other candidate would be winning and winning huge. So this is on Trump's shoulders to close the deal, right? I've always said you can't not focus on issues, effectively give the election away, and then tell people it was stolen from you on November 5th. He should be winning big. And if he stays professional, if he focuses on campaign, focuses on those undecided voters, not just his base, that's what matters. And that's how he could kind of get that fire back that he had a month and a half ago.
Now, I know New Hampshire, Governor, is not considered a battleground state, but when I look at some of the polls across the country, I mean, I'm surprised it's as tight as it is, but I don't follow this nearly as well as you do. What do you make of New Hampshire and what New Hampshire voters are saying right now? Because it's almost a 50-50 split.
Kamala's always going to, someone with Kamala's background is always going to do well in New Hampshire. There's no doubt. Trump could win here, and he can at least keep it close, if not win. He almost did in 2016. We have a lot of folks that we don't poll very accurately. We have a lot of folks that will kind of come out of the woodwork, if you will, and likely support the former president on November 5th. So I don't look at those polls too carefully. I infamously was told I was going to lose by 11 points on Election Day here in New Hampshire, and we won by 2. So a lot can happen in New Hampshire, but I think everyone knows Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin. You know, if Trump does well in those states, and he will, then this is his race to lose.
There are a lot of donors in the Republican Party, by far not all, Governor.
Craziest thing about all of this is it used to be that Fox was parts of Fox, or the areas where, oh dear, they're just going to give somebody an easy ride, where it now appears that people at CNN have decided, let's try and play, do you know, back at the Tucker Carlson, Bill O'Reilly nastiness, which is now Jesse Waters, etc., you were kind of expecting, how should we say, they get somebody on, don't agree with their principles or policies, but they'll say something controversial, clickbait, I think that's what you would call it. CNN with Nancy, this is one of the most disgusting things you'll ever hear anyone say on cable news. Shame on CNN. With regards to Nancy Mason, I mean, she's just... Anyone sum up Nancy Mason one word for me?
I certainly take that, but I'm wondering.
And a lot of rich history comes out of my district in South Carolina that I'm deeply proud of.
With respect. Trump injecting Vice President Harris's race and then suggesting that she's not actually black. Why is he doing that? Should he stop?
Well, I mean,
yes or no?
I didn't hear him say it. I didn't hear what he said about her race. I am not going to weigh in on her race. As a woman,
He did say it.
Okay, well, as a
definitely
woman,
said it.
I want to weigh in.
She turned black, he said. He said she was raised Indian. Now she was Indian, all he knew. Now she turned black.
She's of mixed race. She's a mixed race.
He said that to the National Association of Black Journalists.
Right.
He went to, and he said at the same event where he said he'd done more for black people than any president in history.
I guess here's the thing.
When he was president, wages for women were better than they've been in a long time. Wages for blacks were better than they've been in a long time.
The lowest black unemployment rate in history. It happened
a
under
lot
Joe
of
Biden.
He did a lot of good.
Let me just finish this
for
to both of you.
From all walks of the country.
This doesn't take that much courage, honestly, to just say that was out of bounds.
I don't know what he said. I didn't see.
He said that she
Come on.
turned black. He questioned whether she was really black. I don't think that's that hard to say. That's out of bounds. Can you say that?
I mean, I didn't say it, and I would not say it.
Yes. Just say yes.
All right.
I just
Guys,
we are connected to your inability to pronounce her name.
We are out of time.
It's a very...
We are out of time.
It's a cult. They won't say anything that goes against the
cult.
cult. Yes, you are. You are a cult member.
Are you kidding me?
It's a cult.
I have a diverse
If you won't speak out against the cult member,
name.
you're a cult.
Say her
The
name.
cult leader is Donald Trump.
We are out of time
The
at the
fact that
table.
you talk to
Thank
women
you.
this way is ridiculous.
You just talked about a black woman that way.
In what
Thank
way?
you for
She
being
doesn't
here at
know
the
what a
table.
woman is.
Thank you for
She doesn't know
watching
what a
at
woman
home.
is.
No time for nightcaps tonight. Laura Coates Live.
The same people telling us that we need to vote for Kamala because she's black and she's a woman are the same ones that wouldn't vote for Candace, even though she's black and she's a woman.
Oh, look at you. I think we need to explain this in crayon so you'll get it. So this is you. Aren't you cute? But there's just obviously not a lot going on up here. Look at those cute little cobwebs. Because it's Kamala. Kamala. It's really not that complicated, but I get it. Those of you who worship this guy, look at those little hands. Do they make handcuffs that small? And of course, his couch-obsessed, dolphin-loving running mate seemed to really struggle with the pronunciation.
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Say Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala.
We call that behavior a microaggression. Oh, how did that get in there? Microaggression. Again, Kamala. Now, moving on, you have accused us of voting for her simply because she's black and a woman. That's not it at all. We are voting for her because many of us are women, or non-binary, or trans, and those of us with uteruses really care about our reproductive rights. We also care about the rights of those born LGBTQ+ and trans, as well as the BIPOC community. We are also voting for her because we care about our planet. Look at that. We want a happy little planet, not a sad little planet. We also believe everyone should be able to afford housing and not be put in jail if you can't. We're also voting for her because children shouldn't have to have bulletproof backpacks at school. Now, as for your last point, you silly little goose, of course we wouldn't vote for Candace Owens because she's not running for president. So to summarize, when you decide to get on the internet and spew false equivalencies and lie like Pinocchio, just keep in mind it kind of makes you look like a